How you doing, my friend?
Oh my God, it's been so long.
How long? How long have we known each other? I was trying to figure that out today.
I don't know, like 7 or 8
Yes, that's
years.
kind of what I was figuring. So
When I was losing my mind,
it's all
that's
right.
when we met.
You
I was
see,
losing
it looks like you found
my,
it, so that's good.
sometimes we gotta, yeah, I was out of my mind, and that was a good thing
Yeah.
because, you know, so what's happening with you?
So I was just telling everybody. So what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
is I'm trying to open up a women's center here in my area.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a nonprofit, and it's going to be based off the models of like they have the Red Shoes in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. We did
And
that talk
you
with
remember that?
it was one
Yes.
of my favorite talks ever.
Yeah. And then the Women's Center for Healing and Transformation in Abita Springs, they just had to move, so I'm not sure where they're going to be.
Oh, okay.
But they were in this beautiful old house, and I just loved it. And you know how beautiful Mandeville is. It was in
Yeah.
Abita
Oh,
Springs. It looks just like, yeah.
that's good.
But we don't have one here, like
Mhm.
in our area. So I want to bring in healers and people who do yoga and meditation. I
Mhm.
want, people are asking me, where can I go meditate? You know, like people I know, because all the anxiety that's going on right now.
A lot of
Yeah,
anxiety.
yeah, like the world's insane right now.
I know.
So,
I know. There's a lot of apocalyptic language around and the end of time of
yes,
loss and
yeah,
ooh.
yeah, we're going into a new age, and we're currently in that space where chaos is going to have to happen
Mhm.
in order for us to move into it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's a good time to try to create a safe space for people to come
Mhm.
and focus spiritually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree.
So before we
Always.
get, I could read through. I had typed up a thing for you on my website, but I want you to tell people about your work and start from the beginning, because you have done more than what you're doing now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Okay. So
So
you,
go for it. It's all yours.
you sure? All right.
Yes.
All right. So death brings opportunities. And if you can get out of it, if you can get out of uh, caring for someone and being there for their transition, and if it's the biggest loss of your life, that loss can bring on, induce a rebirth. It's got potential for a lot of really great things in your life. And you may not see it at first, but I felt this when my mom passed away, and I was not happy with her dying experience, even though it was in a home hospice, you know, situation. I thought that she had a very traumatizing passing, and because I wasn't uh, educated, I was deaf illiterate. I didn't know where what my rights were. I didn't know what hers were. I didn't know anything. I was just like in the dark. We were all in the dark. And it was like, she's going to die of ALS. And even though she would never want to go into a nursing home, we were getting to that place where none of this stuff had been discussed. We were not prepared. So we were ill prepared about everything from what our rights were. Dying with dignity wasn't even that was out the
Yeah.
window. After she passed away, I was uh, very much in a grieving process that never seemed to end. It was just everything just changed my life. When your mama dies, everything
Yeah.
changes. And so I remember having dreams with her and visits and we would go to different places, different parts of the world. And I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
You know, so I started exploring that. And it was a type of mediumship that I came to understand was helping me through the grief process. And then so the more I studied mediumship, the more I realized that what I was experiencing is something that we most people experience.
Yes.
And I actually remember before, a couple of weeks before she died, we started communicating, you know, between realms.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that, you know, she told me that she would have dreams with me, or she knew that she knew, like one time I remember her saying, I had a dream where you were playing in the yard with your daughter and y'all were playing with this water toy or whatever. And I was.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I latched onto. I'm like, there is something here. There's something that I have to study, that I have to explore. I was very curious about it, and I knew that it was important. So, you know, that I studied it, and then I became a grief worker using mediumship
Mm-hmm.
to help folks move the grieving process along in a way that was healthy, and it was actually moving along. So, you know, getting stuck is the worst thing that can happen to you in any capacity. Like, if some death is going to happen, I know a lot of people don't believe they're going to die, but
Mm-hmm.
chances are,
And
if you're alive.
and right now we're seeing more and more people pass away suddenly and unexpectedly. And I
Right.
just wanted to go back to something you said too. Like, I know many people, even in my own family, who, when my dad passed and my mom passed, they had dreams of them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they felt like they were being visited by them.
Yep.
Yeah. So I do
Yep.
think there's a space after someone leaves that they kind of hang around trying to communicate.
They do. They
Yeah.
do.
Make sure
And
everybody's okay,
yeah,
and, you know.
and
Yeah.
I would say you feel it the most the first month
Uh-huh.
and a half. You
Okay.
know, like it's everywhere. In fact, you know, I'm 3 months after my sister passed away. She
Uh,
passed away October 13th. So I'm 3 months in, and that's actually the 3 month mark is where when I'm working with clients, I'm like, okay, where are you? What are you doing? What's different in your life? Like, what have you taken finally, like, charge of? Because that's where a lot of folks end up just losing it.
yeah.
Like, that's where the fork is. Are we going to make it? Or are we not going to make it?
Mm-hmm.
At the 3 month mark.
Yeah.
And you can tell everything. That's when people start drinking, doing drugs, you know, just addiction is settled in now. And you
It's
have a
like
choice to make.
they can't leave that grieving process. They
They
stay
can't,
stuck in it.
they
Yeah.
cannot move beyond it. And I can always tell at the 3 month mark, like, so when I hit the 3 month mark, I was like, I am so proud of myself.
Good.
I'm not under the 610 bridge
Yeah.
doing meth. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm like, because it was a incredible, terrible loss in my life.
Well, you've had several
Um,
losses. So your mom.
yeah, I had my mom. Oh, everyone in my immediate family is gone except for my adult children.
Uh-huh.
After the divorce, that's a whole loss
Yes.
too. So you know, the loss of a community of 20 something years, my entire immediate family. All right, so everybody is dead.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what the beauty about that is, I can say whatever the fuck I want now. I can do whatever I want now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
a wonderful opportunity to speak on things that, you know, in the past I probably would have been a little bit more hesitant. So
Yeah.
I'm all full of courage now.
So your mom passed and your dad passed.
Uh-huh.
What and your sister.
Mhm.
And each of those were a different experience for you.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything was like signing up. I could have a PhD in death and
Yeah.
dying now
Yeah.
from all the loss. You know, I remember my grandfather passing away and his experience. My aunt also passed away. I was there for all of these family members. And, you know, by the time I decided, well, let me just get certified in becoming a death doula, there was nothing to teach. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had already been working as a death worker for so long. I'd seen everything. If anything, I was sharing my experiences, um, and so it's, you know, whatever. I got certified and
Well,
the
talk
work
about that.
continues.
How do you get certified in that? I didn't
So
even know the certification.
yeah, there are, um, being a death doula, these programs, we're not regulated, so
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, you know, it's not
Right.
mandatory. Like it's just hospice workers were there. A lot of nurses were in the program.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I remember having, oh, hi, Laura. I love you, Laura. Uh, so I remember, I remember the process was pretty simple. It was enjoyable for me. I love, you know, opportunities where education comes in ongoing and stuff. But there was a lot of hospice workers there. There were registered nurses, you know, social workers, like people that are just knowing that death is looming collectively and they want to be prepared. It's going to be something that is, a part of everyone's
Uh-huh.
conversation, you know?
So
And so,
was it a class presented like by the medical field? Like was it a registered nurse or social worker who created it? A
um,
doctor? Like
yeah, yeah,
uh-huh.
I believe, the woman that was, in charge of this program, not, and I don't know Anelda's background, but
Uh-huh.
the woman who was leading our program, our certification, was a social worker,
Okay.
and so
Yeah.
she also has, you know, worked in nursing homes,
Mm-hmm.
and so that, you know, so everyone has a specialty,
Yes.
and so that was nice. And so my specialty is working, with end of life rights and death with dignity in a red state, which most are like, is that even a thing? Are you doing
Yeah.
physician's assisted suicide? I'm not doing any of that. All that I'm doing is 100% legal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I share resources, and inform people about the law. But you'd be surprised, how many have no idea what their options are
Yeah.
for a peaceful,
Yeah.
comfortable end of life
Well, like
experience.
most people don't even have like a living will or a medical power of attorney.
Nope.
Some people don't understand what that even is. I
Right.
dealt with that. I worked in long-term care too as a nurse, and we dealt with that a lot. So part of what we did was try to get the families to sign. You need to sign a living will, power of
Yeah.
attorney, those type of
I
things.
don't. What floors me, what stuns me to the core every day of my life is the resistance. Okay, not from family members, but from the actual sick and dying.
Yes.
They don't think they're going to die. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. It's the fear that surrounds death in
Yes.
our culture. It's death avoidance, it's death phobia, and it's really hard to watch because when you don't prepare for it, then
Mm-hmm.
everyone suffers.
Yes.
And you almost have to like, it's a character flaw almost, you
Uh-huh.
know, to say, you know, I'm going to choose not to address any of this. And I don't care what happens when I die. You can just deal with it. Why are you going to, what kind of parent does that to their kids? You know, I say, get your paperwork in order, stop hoarding your money, and treat your kids right when you grow, well, you know, because all of
Well,
that,
what's the biggest problem you see with that?
um, the fear,
Uh-huh.
our fear, our culture's inability to talk about death and handle it and be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, our collapsing healthcare system is going to force us to be more proactive.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a choice, you know, but still, even then, so many are afraid to talk about death.
Yeah.
And what I have to say is the more you talk about it, the less scary it is. Okay. And when you're not afraid, that fear is replaced with courage
Mm-hmm.
so that you become a better advocate, right? So the information that I have today that I didn't have when my mom was dying of ALS and hospice, um, I was her health proxy
Mm-hmm.
at a time where I was also extremely overwhelmed as a young mother. I was also experiencing the beginnings of a condition that I battled for 10 years, interstitial
Mm-hmm.
cystitis. So I didn't have any clue as to how I could make my mom's death a better experience. Um, I was just like running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and
Yeah.
I would try to check on her or whatever. And then my grandmother was her primary caregiver, so they went behind my back and like made her health proxy, you know, and it's just something you can
Mm-hmm.
do. And so when my mom was dying and experiencing air hunger, and no one would do anything to bring comfort to her. It
Uh-huh.
was extremely traumatizing
Yeah.
for all of us. And I wish I had been the person that I am today so I
Mm-hmm.
could have fought for her to not suffer like
Well,
that.
you know, that our lessons we learned them the hard way.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna switch.
well, the universe has decided that I get to have it the hardest sometimes. And so,
Yes. Look, I'm gonna switch you a little bit. So let's talk about the spiritual aspect and
mhm.
you being a medium and how that helps also.
So the way that my mediumship comes through is very nuanced. I don't do channeling or trances. I just focus on the person and the information just comes, you know. It just feels and looks like me daydreaming and just
Mm-hmm.
thinking of potential scenarios. And um, that is extremely comforting for anyone who lacks information about, you know, how did this person pass away? Were they scared?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, are they okay now? And the beauty about that work is I've been doing it so long that working with spirit is, you know, kind of like we're colleagues now. And
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
invariably when I'm working with someone in this capacity, something will happen in the room. Like
Like
this
give us
one
an
time.
example. Yeah.
Okay, so this one time, this woman came over and her husband had passed away, and uh, her coffee mug and her phone was like propped up or right next to the coffee mug,
Uh-huh.
and we were talking about is he okay, what was happening, and the phone right as we were talking about it that was just it was propped up on the it just fell
Uh-huh.
forward, you know, knocking over the keys, which the keys fell to the floor. Like
Yeah.
we watched it in
Yeah.
slow motion.
Yes.
And and that's one of a zillion grillion examples
I know
of,
you've had some stuff with your sister when she passed away, you know,
oh
several
my,
months ago. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And the hits keep on coming,
Uh-huh.
you know. So um yeah, I can't emphasize how real it is, and I share it. And if you don't believe it, just ask for a sign,
Mm-hmm.
you know, calling card, you'll see it works. But if if the problem is that we live in a culture that dismisses the sixth
Mm-hmm.
sense, like and it works, that works to benefit those in power so
Right.
that they can, you know, call us crazy, and especially for women, then, you know, there's no um, uh, we don't hold those experiences don't hold water and
because
a
they don't know. They
capitalist
want to, yeah,
patriarchy, huh?
they don't want us to know, or they don't want others to know how powerful that is, and how us can women being more intuitive and
Mm-hmm.
being able to connect into energies
Yeah.
around us, whether it's someone who's dying, it's
And
a
you know,
very
this is the thing.
powerful thing.
Men can do
Mm-hmm.
this. You know, kings, queens, and everyone in between can do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just, relegated to women only. And we've just been conditioned to be the caregivers of the world. And so our levels of compassion, elicit those experiences more
Yes.
because we're
Yeah.
willing to open up and listen and look and find. Um, and so those things are happening. They are very spiritual and comforting. And yeah, and I feel very fortunate to have helped many people for 12 and a half years move through the grieving process because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just let's bring this up real quick. Like, you are an artist, and I want people to know that as well. So just talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so my art is grief related. It's also death related.
Hey, it's your
I
art. It can be anything you want.
well, I exercise the other side of my brain. I have to exercise the right side of my brain.
Uh-huh.
And with art, I'm able to just take a break and do
Yeah.
something that I love and to be able to manipulate um, just the mediums that I'm working with. It just feels good. Um, and also the sprays that I make is, also commentaries, like social commentary on how the world, because I am a sex and death
Mm-hmm.
activist. That's part of the work that I'm doing.
Yes.
And I believe those are the two subjects that are most taboo that we are not supposed to explore.
Yeah.
And that gives the world patriarchy more control,
Right.
you know and you know how I feel about all that.
Yes.
So those are the entry points and the exit points that I focus on.
Tell people
And so
about your sprays. Are you gonna bring some to the event?
oh yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
have sprays.
Uh-huh.
I'm very fortunate in that whatever I do that, in terms of healing work or whatever. So I used to spray down anyone with these sprays that I would make for myself. And so they
Uh-huh.
just became really popular. And I don't have one here at my reach, but one is called Agua de Muerte, and I use it for all my death work. And the other one is Agua de Puta, which I started because after my divorce, I was living in the Bywater, and it just was incredible to me how much a divorce changes your social status. Like,
Yes.
I lost so many friends that I now know were not my friends, and they're for no other reason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep with their husbands. I didn't hold up a bank. I didn't do anything. I just needed to take care of myself. I didn't want to be married sick woman anymore. I wanted to, like, I needed a 2-year nap.
Yeah.
I needed to get away from everybody and take a two well the balloons.
I
Oh
don't
God.
know where the voice came from, but
Thank you. I love balloons. Balloons are great. So like I was like, I gotta just go away for a little bit and get and save my life.
yes.
And so I guess, everyone that no longer talks to me anymore doesn't want anything to do with me because of stupid fucking divorce. I'm like, okay, well now I know that we're in this place because anyone who acted this way, who decided to actively take me out of their lives because now I'm a divorcee, Jesus, like what year are we in? But internal misogyny is what
Yeah.
I experienced. Okay. And so what I did was at the time, I was real sad because I lost so many people in my life. I was living in this house of a client, and she said, you know, my clients, my work has gotten me the family that replaced, you know, the community
Yeah.
that I lost.
Yeah.
So um, I started working on a spray as almost like it was an art project, and I thought, you know what, my grandmother during meditation, I had a grandmother from where was she from? Spain. She was a sex worker in the 1800s. I
Wow.
don't know. I was told my whole life that I had a grandmother who was a puta,
Uh-huh.
and all I heard was horrible things about her. And then one day during meditation, I was like, to my puta grandmother, I need your guidance. Like, just help me. What do I do? How do I get through this time in my life? And that's the thing about when you're tuning into your
Uh-huh.
ancestors, you know, if
Yeah.
you're about to get audited, okay,
Uh-huh.
and you are like, okay, shit's getting real.
Yeah.
The ship is going down. You may not want to tune into your sex worker grandmother. You want to tune into Uncle, what's his name?
Yes.
That,
Well, how'd that
that's
go? How'd it go?
so I tuned into her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, right, get you some good smelling whatever, write Buddha on it, and you're gonna be okay.
So
And I
what did you do? Take some essential oils and stuff and just create a blend? Or
Yeah,
what did
I
you do,
did. I
Artie?
did. I
Uh-huh.
waited for the full moon.
Uh-huh.
I worked with my bestie who is an herbalist, and we worked on spiritual herbs that provided the very thing that I
Uh-huh.
needed. And it ended up being so good. At first, I just used it for myself, and then I would spray my
Oh,
clients, women that
you
I was
gotta
working
share
with.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. And it was such a hit.
So
Such a
what does it do? Like what's the biggest benefit you
Okay,
find?
agua de puta, the biggest most the impact that it makes is the story. All right.
Uh-huh.
The smell is also amazing, but you put it on the windowsill. You put it wherever you need. So every time you pass by and you need something to spray, uplift, y- you know it's
Uh-huh.
there. Like it has a purpose.
Yes.
You know, it has a purpose. It's not just, you know, the perfume that I bought from wherever. Like
Uh-huh.
this literally is for manifesting. It's for strength building, resilience building, and when you have something in your life that you can go to, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did that one. And I wanted to move out of the Bywater, and I wanted to I wanted a place. It was time for me to move. And so I used it to manifest where I'm living now.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I want to live in a place where I feel safe, where there's a parking area that's, you know, security. I want a pool. I want a gym,
Mhm.
whatever. And I'd spray that shit every day, every day, every day. And then I got it. I
Yeah.
got it. I got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
So it's your own magical blend that inspired from your grandmother.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I was guided towards the path of a Buddha. And what my
Mhm.
favorite thing is, you know, I love the fact that I have something called agua de Buddha.
Uh-huh.
And the truth is, it's like, well, you know, the universe can be your sugar daddy. You don't need anybody else. You can do this. You can do this. And I
So
did it
do you still do work with your clit sit meditation?
all the time. I just don't talk about it. I even changed it. I call it the butterfly meditation.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you changed the name.
Because you know why? Because look, I'm smart. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yes.
thinking like a puta. I will do exactly what a man does,
Yes.
and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get away with it. Like that's it. You wanna make it in this world. Think like a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, some people, they might be a little put off by the name, you know,
That
but
was
instead of
part
trying
of
to
the social
understand,
experiment too. It was
yes,
part of the social experiment. I
yes,
was like, let me see how much the clitoris is offensive to people.
yes,
It turns out that that meditation literally ruined my reputation. It
yeah,
is responsible for all the loss in my life, and I thank it every day.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I had no idea how much misogyny I was
Mhm.
surrounded by, um, until I made that meditation and I started going public with it. I'm talking from all the social media platforms, all the people in my life that I thought were cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they weren't. No, no. You stopped talking to me because I came up with a meditation called Glitzit.
Yeah.
You were part of the problem. You were part of the
And
problem.
you know what's funny,
And
Addie, is
I'm
so many people talk
not, it
about,
wasn't, I'm not in my 20s either. I was like mid 40s,
yes,
established woman, like my
yeah.
mother, like,
Well, so many people talk about Kundalini when they have no clue what
thank
you're
you.
talking about, because it's all that's all involved in that whole process.
Yeah,
You know, and if
yeah.
you
I'm like,
can't accept something in spiritual terms, in sexual terms,
they can't.
that come together, then you're not even ready for that experience. You see
No,
what
no.
I'm saying?
It's like we have to change the language so it's not so assault, like it was an assault, like the clitoris. Like if you
Yes.
just say the clitoris, everyone's like, oh my God, oh my God. So
Yeah.
you know, uh, is part of my art as well. Like
Uh-huh.
the just the be able to put it. They're like, oh, you just want to do it for shock value. I'm like, no, no. I just want to show the world where we are when
Uh-huh.
it comes to women, when it comes to sexual, not just empowerment, but with the oppression that patriarchy patriarchy has been using to keep us down. Like
Yes.
sexual oppression is very
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Okay, but what's going on in the world right now, it won't last because, yes, a lot of people are going to suffer. There will be lots of deaths,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot take you cannot take a culture that has been educated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can't take education and sexual empowerment and think that you can just come in with an autocracy, a democracy. I mean, a dictatorship, an oligarchy. It's not going to fly. It
It's
won't fly.
old.
Not for long.
It's old. It's time. Like their
Exactly.
balance, the energy's going to balance. The world, the earth needs to balance. We've been under that type of energy for so long that it's going to lose its power because of that one factor right there. That,
Well, the women
yeah.
have, you can try to overturn our rights, but we're not going to allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the one time in the world where, and still when I talk about speaking up, again, I was married into a world where I looked for people like me,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't see anyone.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of scared, privileged white women
Mm-hmm.
who, rather than speak up, rather than support me,
Mm-hmm.
rather than, say, hey, I don't like what's happening in this house at this dinner table, everyone would just excuse the disgusting behavior of these white old men.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to be part of that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That world made me sick. It was killing me. And so I wasn't sure, like, how disempowered women were until I divorced and saw the shunning happening.
Yeah.
Like I was ostracized.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are where we are today. Okay, a big part of where we are today is because women refuse to speak up. They're still too
And
afraid.
or even support each other.
Nope.
You know.
that. Nope, there's no support
Uh-huh.
either.
And I
Nope, can't do
guess
that.
that's one of our goals, and that's what we're trying to change. Like, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now, because they're trying to create war and all of this division out there, and we've had enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's time for people to start healing. It's time for us to start moving into spirituality and understanding who we are, how our energy works, how our bodies work.
Well,
Uh-huh.
yes, and that happens. That will happen, but unfortunately, there's a lot of marriages, partnerships, relationships where women have, we've been sold this lie that
The
says,
marriage the marriage lie you
the
talking about? Yeah.
marriage lie that
Yeah.
says, I'm the provider, you raise the kids. Like, that's how my marriage worked.
Uh-huh.
And, yet I was still hustling to make money because, that's what the world says too. It's like
Yeah.
feminism made it possible so that you can have kids, have to do absolutely everything,
Mm-hmm.
and you still have to
Go to
work your ass
school,
off.
run a business,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
then like there's no time for anything else,
No time
but
for you.
no time for you,
Yep.
but
Mm-hmm.
you better be ready to like have sex
Mm-hmm.
3, 4, 5 times a week, so
Yes.
I don't want to be bothered with any of that. I don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
I like my life. I like my work as a healer, as a death worker. I
Mm-hmm.
like to be able to say what I want to say. I don't give a fuck if this person approves or doesn't approve or is afraid that. So this is another thing is I don't want to be in a position where I may cause some type of rift in someone's job,
Uh-huh.
workplace, and so I was quiet for many years because, you know, I didn't want to cause any trouble with people's work,
Right.
so
So,
I had this one woman tell me, oh, I couldn't, Lizzie, te quiero. This one woman was like, oh, well, when you started doing all the clicit meditation work and everything, I was writing a book myself, and so I didn't want to get mixed up. That was a good friend too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it. I don't care how many PhDs you have. You are oppressed when you
Yeah.
think that way.
Yeah.
All right. So our, we are all at fault for where we are.
Yeah.
We all have fault.
Yes.
All right. I didn't speak up enough. I waited to my 40s to have to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fault. You know, but when I did speak up, when I started to, and I realized the backlash, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, this is way, way more than I even
Yeah.
anticipated. I need to be on my own to do this work. And I made a choice. I
Yeah.
made a choice. I would rather be on my own, all right, not go eat out a million times a
Mm-hmm.
month, or be part of like functions and part of society where everyone's fake, kissing up to rich old people. No, I don't want to be part of that world anymore.
Yeah. Let me remind everybody, Aidi is going to be one of the guest speakers at the Awakening and Transformation Fair.
Oh
It's
my god,
March
I'm like,
9th.
ah!
It's March 9th. It's in Denham Springs.
Yeah, get
Yeah,
ready.
you have a flyer, so if your friends want to take a look at it, and we're going to have 5 or 6 women speakers.
Uh-huh.
So I'm inviting everybody to come. The event is free. However, if you can donate at the door. And also, I'm going to take donations for each of the speakers. So if people want to come support you, they can donate, and that money will go towards you.
Oh, that's
And
very nice.
so I'm going to be networking with some women business
You're so
women
good
in business.
at that, by the way. You're so good at all that.
Well, I met this girl. I was doing I do events, like I go out and sell my stuff I make, you know, and I did an event yesterday with my sister.
Uh-huh.
This is how things come together when you're doing what you're meant to do. So I met this girl. She says, "Oh, I go to all the parish networking for women business. It's for women," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" So she invited me. I'm gonna go there next Thursday, and I'm going to promote the event, and I'm going to talk about, you know, I was trying to do the nonprofit for the Women's Center here, but you were the first person I thought about when I started. I wanted, what do I want at this event? And I want women who are powerful, women who have been doing this for a while and they have a voice in their communities, and women who have not been recognized for really what they've been doing, you know. And
That's
I know it's
me.
not recognition, but you have done such beautiful things, and like you
Thank you,
said,
Julie.
people look at it like down their noses at it, and it's
Oh yeah.
really,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's
My yeah, I've been my work has been diminished, my
uh-huh.
credibility
Mm-hmm.
diminished. I get very few just on Facebook. I come on Facebook because Facebook is, let me see, how do I gently say this? It is the nursing home of all social media platforms.
Yes,
So
it is.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, why I'm on Facebook, it's not my favorite place to be, but
Uh-huh.
it is my way to get to that demographic, that age demographic
Yes.
that needs information about what that mindset, that death avoidance, that inability to prepare and to use whatever untreated mental illness that they have, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to manipulate their families and to behave in a certain way, or doing what they, money hoarding, like, so that they can have control to the very last breath,
Yeah.
you know. And my gift as a death worker is to be able to step into that situation and be able to say, this is how you get this person into a nursing home. This is how you get a psych evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you turn that person that's a health proxy. Okay. That's how you send them away so that the paperwork can get, you know,
Yeah.
done again. The right powers go to the right people. Um, and Facebook needs that.
Yeah.
They need it because they're clueless. They're
So you were
clueless and they're resistant to the idea that they're going to die. So no one wants to die. No one wants to face their
uh-huh.
mortality. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So you work, just let me kind of sum it up a little bit for people who are just jumping on. And I saw Mickey and I saw Yvette. I saw Amanda. Hi, y'all. Thank you for being here. This is
Hi,
Aidi.
y'all.
Aidi's going to be one of the guest speakers at our event, March 9th. She is a death doula. Actually, I didn't even know there was a death doula, Aidi, until you told me,
Mm,
you know, and then I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God. Then all these other people, like death doulas, coming up on my feed and
yep.
stuff. And I'm like, so, and they're combining it with exactly what you're doing, like your intuition, you know, and using that in their work, you know, mediumship. Some even contact people for the families. But I like, as a nurse, we kind of we strove for the same thing. Like when somebody's dying, so a lot of times we were the only one by the bedside. Families weren't even there, or
Yeah.
families who were there were fighting over who's going to make the decisions, who's going to have the power of attorney because they want to be over the money, and you know, that kind of thing. But the choice is like, so how's this person going to die? Are they going to get pain medicine? You know, are they going to like, who's going to make all those important decisions about them? And a lot of
Yeah.
times either they're fighting over it or there's nobody there to do it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the there's situations where I was working with a family once. This woman called me and she's like, they're keeping my dad alive
Mm-hmm.
because they won his social security check. And
So she was
he,
talking
you
about
know,
her family.
she was talking about her other
Okay.
siblings and whatever that were taking care of this man who should have been gone a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but they were like, no, 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 don't leave us, you know.
Uh-huh.
And he got a substantial, you know, SS check every month. So the daughter called me so that I could help, you know, insert my strength, my ability to get the father to advocate for himself. All right, because the guilt of wanting to die was something he didn't know how to handle. All right, so I came in, and this is my favorite part. Is like I walk in. If you don't work with death, okay, if you don't see death up and close, like I do, like you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one, it's an island that very few have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
experienced. Um, it doesn't matter if you're, I know, working in a hospital doesn't mean you work with death. You
Right.
know, even if you work as a nurse, unless you work in hospice and
Yes.
see the dying process from the onset of a diagnosis to the very last breath.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's my space. That's
Uh-huh.
where my knowledge is. Okay. So when I walk in and I do, you know, okay, who are you? And who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do? And where do you live?
Uh-huh.
And so you live in California or you live wherever, and you're going to come here and you're going to say that your father, who is experiencing, you know, uh, pain levels of 8 on up every day because he has cancer, is not allowed to take medicine because why? You think that the morphine is going to hasten his
Yes.
death?
A lot of
Okay,
people believe
sir,
that. Mm-hmm.
sir,
Yes.
you need to take a fucking seat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now.
Like
Okay,
that's
you
his
don't need to be
decision.
you don't
Yeah.
need to be the health proxy. We need the primary
Mm-hmm.
caregiver, okay? The other daughter, we need her to be health proxy. We need, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and so it's a lot of it's a lot, it's very rewarding to be able to enter a scene
Mm-hmm.
and to almost be like the bouncer, you know, and just be
Yeah.
like, you don't get to be here. I don't care where you go, but you can't be here.
Yeah.
So you gotta go. You gotta go. And this
Yeah.
person is now in charge. And so the dying need advocacy
Yeah.
because not
Well, I know.
they're not allowed to die. No one's allowed to die. Everyone has to just stay alive, suffer in pain, and even hospice. Okay, everyone's like, oh, hospice. Hospice is so good. You know, hospice providers are now part of the medical industrial complex as well.
Yeah.
And you know, it could take a long time, really long time to die in hospice.
Yeah.
I have so
Yeah.
much to say about that.
Well, let me say this too. Like, I know one of the doctors I work with, she came up with this document for hospice. She ran a hospice. But the document, like we were all trained on it, some of the nurses, and it was to do exactly what you're talking about. So it was okay, so are we prolonging the life? Are they going to get artificial feedings? Are we going to do CPR if something happens? Are we going to intubate, put
A
oxygen?
feeding
Like,
tube.
yes,
A
like
feeding tube in
there was a little
hospice.
checklist. That person was allowed to decide on this, and she made it really simple. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we're going to do. This is your care plan. We're going to do this for you. We're going to give you pain medicine if you want. If you don't want, you choose.
Mm-hmm.
But then families would come in and they would try to change that document, you know.
I know.
But it was the person who's dying who actually made those decisions before they were dying. You
Yeah.
know, they made those decisions.
Yeah.
But it was a legally standing document, so the families couldn't fight it. So that was something I was very happy. But that's not enforced in a lot of places. Like, people don't know about it, or it's
It's,
not well
it's true.
known.
It's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Was it like the 5 wishes document?
No, it was, I wish, I can't remember off the top of my head. Mickey, you're here. If you remember, let me know. But she had, when I worked long-term care at the nursing homes, she was one of the doctors, and she said, we need something better, because we had the same problem, Heidi. Families fighting, you know, like we're sending the patient back and forth to the ER who was dying, you know, for, yes, like it was medical, it was wasteful financially, the patient traumatized by having to be moved everywhere,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
So And now
Yeah.
we're seeing, I wanted to talk to you about this. So now we're seeing, I don't know how to take the names down. Do you know how to take the names down? Like, I'm not too familiar with Facebook. I'm going to let the feed go, but it's blocking you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You see it? You're good where you are. Stay in the.
All right. All right.
But right now, what we're seeing is people are dying of all ages right now,
All
and they're
ages.
dying suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when that happens, and say you're 26 years old and you die suddenly, you know, then the family's left with other things. So what kind of things do you find on that end after they died? Nothing's been resolved.
Yeah.
What's left to deal with?
Grief.
Uh-huh.
Like the grief, you know,
Yeah.
the isolation,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, there's so much,
Do you
there's so much grief if
do
someone
you
died. There's
continue
a
on
fast
with the
death.
you
Huh?
continue on working with the families, or do you help them
Oh,
find
oh yeah, yeah,
counseling?
yeah. So I work on, like I said, the onset of a diagnosis, the middle, the end,
Mm-hmm.
and afterwards.
Okay.
So when it comes to working as a grief work, then kicks in after the person passes away, and that's where I use my mediumship and, you know, hopefully move the process along
Uh-huh.
so that, because a fast tragic death, okay, like the massacre that happened on New
Yeah.
Year's Day here,
Yes.
um that is a reality that I unfortunately, oh my God, I don't want to face, but this is something we're all going to have to understand, um, that it can happen to any of us.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to become more vocal about this work, because the more you talk about death, the more you live your life, and the more you do things so that if you were to get, you know, some messed up diagnosis, and, you know, and you become terminal and you're young, you can say, okay, I've done whatever. I have no regrets. Or
Mhm.
so it's just about getting comfortable with death so you can have a better life experience.
And helping people through the process of it so that they're not taking this journey alone,
Mm-hmm.
and helping be the advocate for the person who actually is in that dying process.
Right.
You know, I think
Yep.
it's the most important part of your work. And then with your past work, you know, with your butterfly meditation techniques.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even that, like that experience. So at the event, what are you going to be talking about? Like, have you come up with a title of it, or basically just what we're talking about right now?
Um, so I haven't thought about it.
Mhm.
I
You've
will.
had
I
so many
will.
experiences, like especially with your sister. I think that's such a strong, like what you went through, everything you went through with her, and
Yeah.
like that story is just so powerful.
Thank
You
you.
know.
I'm
Hmm.
going to talk more about suicide, because I think when it comes to uh, how we want to live our life, no one should be able to step in and you know, try to prevent that. And so my sister,
You mean when with someone who's actively dying?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
not
Just be
okay.
clear.
Listen,
Uh
hold
huh.
on. I'm gonna elaborate, because I
Okay.
think that, um, you know, as we move into a very uncertain
Hmm.
future, you know, I'm hoping that pushing legislation that supports dying with dignity,
Uh-huh.
physicians assisted suicide, those things will hopefully, you know, be part of these red states and as end of life options. Um, I This is not a very popular
I was
opinion,
getting ready
but
to say you always pick the hardest.
I
Least
do.
popular opinion, and you go for it.
I
So I
do.
love that. Mm-hmm.
Well, so my sister did not want to live and experience the bitter end of scleroderma.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to. She understood what the end would look like,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't want to do that. And so she said, help me die the way I want to die on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible?" And I said, "Yes, it is. Even in Louisiana, you can take your life. It's not illegal. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it doesn't matter how you do it. And if you want to do it and you have someone in the room, in the house or whatever, they are not going to be criminalized. They are not going to be, um, so they're not subjected to anything illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, these are laws, these are things that a lot of people don't know about that I think they do need to know. I think the future also will, this, when it comes to suicide, and the acceptance of it in the Netherlands and places like that, even untreatable depression will also be a subject that will be included in this.
Well,
Okay.
the guidelines for that I think are different. Like, I guess legally, you have to have some kind of guidelines on when it's acceptable to go. I'm trying to just throw out some hard questions.
Mhm.
So say you have somebody at your talk and they go, "Well, we don't decide when we die. God decides when we die."
All right. Well,
So how, in your
Mhm.
stance, how would you address that with that person?
Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
would say, if you don't want to die of suicide, then don't do it.
Uh-huh.
That's it. It's autonomy
Uh-huh.
here. No one, I'm not trying to assert my beliefs on
Uh-huh.
you. I don't have, your God and my God are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there. Um, don't do it. You know, it's like an abortion. Don't do it if you don't want it.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it. It's not, you know.
So let's go back to the depression thing. So you think someone who has severe depression should be allowed
I
to
do.
commit suicide? And why?
I don't, because it's an illness.
Uh-huh.
It's an illness. And as we move forward, the human psyche can only take so much. I'm not saying that I would do it, but I support someone's decision after trying for decades and decades of finding a cure. And as we move forward into a future where I don't know what will be available to us in terms of mental health, in terms of medicine, even in terms of what will be provided for us, if we need Medicare, Medicaid. So these services are, everything's up in the air. All right.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm saying is that I can intuit what is happening in the realm of death and dying. And I believe that depression will be in the same category as all illnesses. That's the
Now,
future.
now I hear some people talking about new technologies that are coming out, and I'm not talking about medicine. I'm
Hmm.
talking about new modalities like with energy healing, frequency healing that can reset the body and help with depression.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of studies, and I know some doctors who are actually working with different technologies to help with that as well.
Hmm.
So, say there is a cure
Oh,
for
yeah.
it. Say, or there's something that can reset you back, like out of that depressive state, but can help reset you back to normal.
Mhm.
So if those technologies come out, you still think that they have a choice to either do the healing or to leave.
Oh, okay. So it's access to those resources.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't have access to any of this stuff, then yeah, you're not gonna do so well.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we could make it available and encourage people to want to try them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But someone who's experienced war and death and loss and housing insecurity and food insecurity, all right, it's going to be very difficult to care for all of it. And these modalities are
Yeah.
expensive, you know. So if you don't have money um, and life has just beaten you down,
Mm-hmm.
and you've never been able to. So my sister, one of the reasons why she didn't want to live anymore is because she also lived and experienced massive depressive disorder.
Uh-huh.
And she was on the highest dose of every depression
Mm-hmm.
medicine available to anyone. Um, and so I kind of feel like her passing also addressed the depression as well.
Yeah.
Because when she died, her pain was gone,
Yeah.
all of it, all of it. And in her last couple of weeks, when she was doing VSED, which is voluntarily stop eating and drinking,
Mm-hmm.
and working with hospice, um, she was feeling, it's weird, like the body releases endorphins
Mm-hmm.
when you stop eating and drinking. And
Yeah.
so anyone who's like, that was so cruel to do, I didn't do anything, she did it herself, she was still of sound
A,
mind.
a lot of people think when you quit eating and drinking, you suffer, but really, no. Just like you said, the body releases endorphins,
Mhm.
and you actually
Better.
feel more
Yeah.
elated, more,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
it's not a painful way to die.
And if you have well, I wouldn't want to die of VSED without drugs. Like I would want to have all the drugs that I needed, because
Uh-huh.
there are some uncomfortable aspects to it. It's not a walk in the park. The better choice would be to have physicians assisted suicide. That's what I would want for myself.
Well,
Um,
she still
and
had a disorder, a pain disorder, you know.
yes.
So
Oh yeah.
I'm just talking specifically about not eating and drinking, but then
You
she
want to
had
hear?
other things.
You
Yeah.
So she went through this process, and then after about a week, all of the pain from her disorder
Mm-hmm.
was significantly slashed. Like she went from having, uh, pain levels of 9 and 10 throughout
Uh-huh.
the day, trying to mitigate it with, oh my God, so much fentanyl patches, morphine, lorazepam sublingual. Like she had so many different types of meds to treat this pain, manage the pain. It was until she stopped eating and drinking. And she
Yeah.
went 21 days.
Wow.
21 days.
Wow.
It's too long.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah.
Okay. She should have passed sooner. She would have been great to have, like I said, a little phenobarbital on the side there. We don't
Uh-huh.
have that. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
they make dying scary, traumatizing, and that's why they want you to live forever, because it makes more money when you stick around.
Yeah. And they
Um,
can give you medicine.
and they can give you medicine
Yeah.
linger. So you want to
Yeah.
linger. She didn't want to linger, but I remember when she finally was experiencing, the pain was alleviated without all that food and liquid in her body.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, I was like, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel? She goes, I still want to die.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to
Yeah.
die. And
Yeah.
so when I asked her why, she said, I just still feel very sad. I'm depressed. Like I'm still dealing with the depression.
But tell people how long she dealt with the illness, Heidi.
Uh, 18 months
Mm-hmm.
of, of
Severe pain.
not just severe
Mm-hmm.
pain, and to watch someone, me, every day. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't work. I had to be at her side, and I had to hold her and just
Mm-hmm.
rock her. And so we were both in hospital. Like I was there, I
Yes.
was in pain. I got like neuropathic pain, like neuropathy from laying next to her, not being able to move. And um so yeah, she was in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that pain, I don't know what caused it first. The depression, because she was depressed for many
Yeah.
years. Then the pain,
Yeah.
so I say, depression, mental health, yeah, it's the first thing to take care of. Or if you don't want to get sick, if you don't want the next thing to follow, then you get your depression under control.
Well,
My sister could never, ever get it under control. Never.
well, when I'm hearing the bottom line, though, it's about choice. Like people should be able to have choice.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
a lot
going
of that choice,
around. I'm not
yes,
going around to people's houses going, all right, I'm going to force you not to,
yes,
no more drinks, no more liquids.
yeah,
I can't do that.
it's about choice.
It is.
And I
It's
love
about
that.
choice.
That's really what you're advocating for.
Yep.
And I love that your experience all these years, you know, especially your personal experiences have brought you to this point now where you can serve others and help others fight for that freedom of choice to be able to live and die the way they want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a
And
beautiful thing.
thank
Can I
you.
ask people who are watching, if you have a comment, please make a comment if you would like. Please keep it civil. You don't have to agree with everything we're talking about, and we would love to hear your opinion. But these are discussions that people need to have and that people have not been having. And it's part of why our society is mentally ill, because we don't know how to talk about sex. We don't know how to talk about the female and how females can express themselves the right way. And we don't know how to talk about dying with dignity.
No, we don't. We don't know how to talk about pleasure
Mm-hmm.
or death. Okay.
Yes.
And
That's caused mental illness in our society, actually.
it really
It has.
does. It does. And so placing all of these, you know, societal norms, this type of conditioning is it's detrimental to our mental health.
Yeah.
And so we tend to, you know, brush all of this under the rug. And when you sweep it under the rug, what happens is it stays in your system. And I know now that is how illness manifests in the
Yeah.
body. And so I'm not here to try to change anyone's mind. In fact, like if someone disagrees with me, okay, I almost am at the point where I don't need to engage in any
And,
conversations with anyone
and you don't, because
religion,
that's
especially
them.
when it comes to you know, religiously speaking, like what is happening in the political realm right now. Everything is just no. You don't come to me with your guide. Don't come to me with legalities either.
Yeah.
Okay, none of this is going to, you're not going to get anything from me. I'm only focusing on people who want to die. I want to focus on people who no longer want to live in excruciating pain any longer. Anyone that wants to put an end to the financial burden that comes with being a sick and dying person in the
Yeah. And
U.S.
the emotional burden placed on the families and
That's
friends who were
That's what
there.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, when I
Yeah.
had to do a GoFund because after 15 months of not being able to work full time
Yes.
and care, because I was caring for my sister and her disability, we had an attorney on this case, but we were trying to get disability to kick in. Nothing. She died without a single red cent
Wow.
sent to us. You know,
That's horrible. That's our
it's
system,
so
though.
awful. It's
Yeah.
awful.
Our
And you're
system
gonna tell
messed up.
you're gonna tell me or tell
Mm-hmm.
my sister, oh yeah, you got so much to live for. No, she didn't.
Uh-huh.
She didn't have anything. She didn't have a whole lot to live for
Yeah.
with an autoimmune disorder that literally is like top of the list of worst quality of life.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
horrible.
Short of doing a swan dive off the Mississippi River Bridge, this woman had very few options. Had it not been for me and my work, and I'm like, okay, I will help you die. I will help you do this legally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she probably would have done something violent.
Something violent, worse.
Yeah, which is what's going to happen actually. We're going to see a huge uptick in violent
Death.
suicide. Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to a close.
On that
Is there
happy
any? Is there anything you want to end with, though?
I want to end on a positive
Okay.
note because I appreciate that you reached out to me, all right, because the work that I do is when, I don't get invited to many dinners or parties or
Nobody wants to
I
hear
don't,
it. Huh?
everyone sees me coming into the room, they're like, oh my God,
Mhm.
oh my God, who is she going to, it's almost like I have Grim Reaper, written on my forehead. But so I appreciate being seen and
Well,
appreciated and
thank you.
validated.
And I know you personally. I know how much of a loving heart you have to help people.
I
So, you know,
do.
I just want other people to hear your story and to, be able to look at things differently than we've been looking at them.
We have
So come out
we
and
have
see
no
Aidi,
choice.
y'all. Come out and see her at the event March 9th.
Come out and see me. And also I'm taking appointments if want to chat about my work as a death doula, medium, just all of it.
How, how
Or
can they
even just
contact?
like mortal fear,
You have
like
a
people that
website or something, Aidi?
it's still IDheals.com.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll put it. I'll tag it. I'll put it in the bottom. So
Yeah,
people
but
can kind of
like DM me through via this platform
through
too.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
All
easy.
right. Well, thank you so much, girl. I
Thank
love and
you.
appreciate you, and
I
I
look
love your
forward to it.
work. Yeah. But I'll see you soon.
All right, bye.
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 Bye.